New tonight, new information in a bizarre murder. Police try to unravel the truth. Then, avalanche warning.
I am overwhelmed with joy to be at the point that we have reached today.
The federal government makes changes that may save lives. Plus, groundbreaking research.
These things are, again, they're pure science fiction.
Calgary scientists make brain cells communicate with a computer chip.
You're watching Global News at 11 with Nirmala Naidu.
Good evening. The family of Calgary's latest murder victim is looking for answers tonight. 29-year-old Jennifer Wren's body was found early this morning in the trunk of a car. Her family told Global News tonight they are frustrated and angry about the lack of information surrounding Wren's death. They describe her as the loving mother of a 12-year-old boy. Her aunt, Tanis Emmy, says Wren had a great sense of humor. She was outgoing and always entertaining. As Paul Custer reports, police are now trying to piece together what appears to be a very bizarre murder.
The bizarre tale began here on McLeod Trail late Wednesday night after a man who had been assaulted and stabbed flagged a police cruiser.
The stabbing victim then provided information as to the location of a 29-year-old deceased female, later located by Calgary police in a trunk of a vehicle at the Manchester impound lot, 439th Avenue Southeast. An autopsy was conducted today. The victim has been identified as Jennifer Wren, 29 years, of Calgary.
Though Wren's body was found in the trunk of a Honda Civic at this impound lot Wednesday night, it's believed she died sometime on Valentine's Day. The car was put in the lot after someone called police to report a suspicious person at around 4 a.m. Monday.
At that time, an individual was found to be in possession of our stabbing victim's 1986 Honda Civic. This individual operating the vehicle could not produce any documentation to show that he could be in possession of it, and the vehicle was subsequently towed to the Manchester impound lot.
Paul Custer, Global News, Calgary.
Police say they don't know a lot about the relationship between Wren and the man who was stabbed. They do say the stabbing victim who flagged down police had been assaulted several times on Wednesday. Now, he remains in hospital tonight. In the meantime, police are still searching for the man who had the stabbing victim's car. Wren's family says they didn't want to appear on camera tonight, but will issue a public statement tomorrow. Well, the federal government has announced details of a program it hopes will reduce the number of avalanche deaths in Canada. As John Gulka tells us, the families of victims who've lost loved ones in avalanches are applauding the measures.
A record 29 people lost their lives in avalanche accidents in Canada last year. The federal government wants to try and put an end to, or at least slow, the death rate.
Now, those tragic losses will never be forgotten, and our hearts go out to their family and to their friends.
Along with contributing $500,000 toward a national avalanche center, a new simplified warning system will be set up. It will rate avalanche danger from low to medium or high with green, yellow, and red color codes. A backcountry safety and awareness program will be created that will cater to all skill levels from the amateur to expert. Several families who lost children in a tragic field trip last year attended the announcement. They're pleased with the efforts being made to improve safety.
We're very pleased that there's been such a landmark change in the parks and the Canadian government recognizing that public safety is a key factor in running the parks, and not just telling people that they need to take care of themselves.
I think these measures, although long in the coming, are welcomed by the families that lost their 7 children. I just wish that they'd been in place a year ago.
Do you think it would have been different? Do you think that the tragedy may not have happened?
I want to believe that.
I think our children would be proud today to know that, yes, they did not die in vain. There is going to be change. We are moving forward. We can't undo what's happened, but we can certainly change how we go forward.
Justin Trudeau, who lost his brother Michel in an avalanche accident nearly 6 years ago, was overwhelmed by the new initiatives. He says they go a long way toward making the wilderness safer.
It happens through giving each individual the tools to make the right decisions about what they are doing.
John Gulka, Global News, Calgary.
The Canadian Avalanche Foundation held a fundraising dinner tonight. The money raised will be used for public avalanche safety initiatives and education programs. 5 5,000 CN rail workers will go on strike across Canada at 1 minute past midnight local times. The workers are members of the Canadian Auto Workers Union. Negotiations broke off after 36 hours this afternoon. The CAW says Via Rail passenger trains, which use CN tracks, will continue to run as usual despite the strike. Via operates passenger service to more than 450 communities from coast to coast. CN says it does have contingency plans to keep the freight moving for the duration of the strike. Well, Alberta Premier Ralph Klein spent a second day on the hot seat today. After criticizing travel claims yesterday, the opposition Liberals raised another spending issue today. They were asking the Klein government about spending $65,000 over the past 3 years on food, drink, and accommodation.
Not only have we been facilitating at the taxpayers' expense a lifestyle fit for the rich and famous in New York and other world centers, but also here in Alberta.
The opposition wanted to know about one dinner in particular. It took place at Caesar's Steakhouse here in Calgary and cost $750. Now, the Premier said he couldn't recall details of that dinner.
I don't know who might have been at that meeting, but obviously there was more than one, more than two, more than three, perhaps more than four, perhaps five, perhaps six, perhaps seven, perhaps eight people.
Klein says he doesn't recall exactly how many people were at the dinner, and he says his spending is not excessive. The Premier accused the Liberals of lacking honesty and integrity by implying otherwise. Meantime, Alberta's Auditor General will be looking for any signs of unreasonable spending when he goes over Premier Ralph Klein's travel expenses. Fred Dunn says Klein's bills will undergo a formal review. Well, an advisory issued last night by the Calgary Health Region remains in effect tonight. It was issued because smoke in the air may be a problem for those with respiratory problems. The diminished air quality is the result of a fire that's been burning for 2 days on the Sutina Reserve. A pile of construction debris in a gravel pit used as a dump began burning yesterday morning. Fire officials say so far no toxic materials have been discovered.
As far as we know, that there's no dangerous material. Having said that, we're not going to let our guard down. We'll continue to monitor the situation.
The problem is the size of the burning debris. It's 15 meters deep and nearly 2 football fields long. And officials say the fire may be burning as deep as 30 meters below the surface. People who live nearby say the smoke is quite unpleasant.
It's terrible. It's really a harsh smell, and it just takes the air right out of your lungs.
It smells pretty bad. Like it's really hard to catch your breath every now and then.
Alberta Environment is continuing to monitor air quality in the area. Heavy equipment has been brought in to break up parts of the dump and allow firefighters to get to the hot spots. Well, the public mischief trial of Lethbridge Alderman Dar Hetherington has now been adjourned until March 1st. Today, the Crown wrapped up its case and a computer expert was cross-examined by the defense. Dave Johnston says it's possible someone else could have written some letters he found evidence of on Hetherington's laptop. But he said that could only happen if they had access to the computer and its password. The defense will present its case when the trial resumes. Atlantic Canada is being hammered by what Environment Canada calls a weather bomb. Both Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island remain under a state of emergency tonight. At least 90 centimeters of snow has fallen in Halifax. Some streets are buried under snow drifts 2 meters deep. Schools, business, government offices, and many highways are all closed. Thousands of people are without power, and flooding is expected along the New Brunswick coast. And that's 9 minutes of nonstop news. Now here's Don Wood with our first look at the forecast. Don, we're lucky we don't live out east.
Absolutely. I was going to say, normally if we were in Halifax, global Halifax, we probably wouldn't be on the air tonight. Not many people made it to work. Quite a disaster, as we all know, and our hearts certainly go out to the folks in eastern Canada. Nothing like that in store for us, though. The sun gods will shine down upon us again. We have a beautiful forecast, not only for tomorrow, but for the next 5 days as well. 1 degree in Calgary now, light breeze out of the southeast, our humidity